first and foremost, I have to say I'm very happy that Nurmagomedov is getting this step up in opposition. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say that the people he's fought before weren't legit opponents. I mean, you got Mark Striegel, Heoni Barcelos, Javi Ramos. You know what I mean? You got big names here, AJ. But this is a proven veteran right here, Douglas Silva de Andrade, who in his last fight against Sergey Morozov pulled off almost the miraculous. He pulled off the inevitable right there to come get his second submission victory of his career. Now, you're fighting a very well-rounded Saeed Nurmagomedov, bro, who can wrestle, who can defend takedowns, who can strike, who can do everything, right? So the question becomes, if you're a knockout artist in Douglas Silva de Andrade, what is your game plan here? Do you try to wrestle with him? Do you try to just take his back and control him? Because that is definitely an option on the table right there. He did it against Morozov, and if you could do it against a great wrestler like that, I'm sure you could do it against Nurmagomedov. Or do you think, AJ, that this is just a coming out party type of fight for Nurmagomedov, and this is like a showcase bout? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because I feel like we have a pit bull versus sniper right here. You know, we got the pit bull in Andrade, who I expect to be walking forward, controlling the stuff, stifling the explosive, the striking acumen that Nurmagomedov approaches. And it's crazy to say that you're expecting a guy to go and wrestle in Nurmagomedov, but we're talking about a side right here. You know, we're talking about a striker or a fighter who is more apt to strike and throw flashy, spinning shit all day long, but he still probably has that smash style. Don't get me wrong. I feel like if you're in that lineage of fight style, you've been doing that since day one, you know, just beating up, going smash style, and he's very well-rounded. Man, this one is, I think he has the potential to be a banging, exciting fight because Andrade, man, he can take a wallop and he can take a beating and still keep coming forward. And unlike Andrade's last fight, Nurmagomedov, he's gonna, once the pressure's on, he's not gonna go to the ground and try to get a submission. He's gonna let you stand back up, keep beating you up, keep the work going. Or this could be just a one-sided event, man. Like it could either be one or the other, a war, an absolute war, or just an absolute show for Nurmagomedov. And the weird thing is, this is a step up in competition, but it still feels like to me they're taking the slow route for Nurmagomedov. Do you feel that, or you think this is you have a little contention in that one? I feel like it's a slow route for my own sake, because not too many people know who Douglas de Silva de Andrade is. We do, because we're watching these all the time. He's a hell of a fighter, very explosive, powerful, tense in the thing, and he's tense when he's fighting, and then he comes out and bangs on him. But I feel like not a lot of people know who De Silva de Andrade is. I could be mistaken. I could be wrong. That's why I think it's a slow route, and that's why I think this one could be more of a gimme and a handoff. Like, yo, go make a name. Like, go let people know what's up on this one, and keep it rolling. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. What do you think?
No, I think you have a point there, because for some reason, man, because what I just pulled up right now is I actually just looked at what are the old like fight odds for all of Nurmagomedov's fights. And for whatever reason, maybe I'm confusing him with Umar, but I'm thinking that he's minus 500, minus 700 for a lot of these fights. Actually, not really. This is actually one of his most highly favored fights right here, next to Mark Striegel, which was like kind of minus 400. We're looking at, you know, the minus 350 area right here. And when I take a look back at ESPN, he's currently minus 340. So AJ, man, obviously, folks, let me just make a reminder in case you didn't know. Our odds right here are courtesy of, our money line odds are courtesy of William Hill, Nevada sports betting right here, the sports book. So we're at minus 260 at open. So you just bubbled up to minus 350? Okay, man. So maybe you're right. Maybe this is not as big of a step up in opposition as people think, or the odds makers think, and they think Nurmagomedov is just going to shine here. I personally just felt like you're giving him a 37-year-old chiseled veteran with 32 career fights, entered the UFC at like 22-0, 20 knockouts. I mean, this is a dude who can grapple and who can knock your head off, so you have to be careful. And you're right, AJ. There is the interesting nature of Douglas Silva de Andrade, who is so tight, controlling the middle of the octagon, feints, everything is tight movements. You know what I mean? He's just like a ball of metal, a ball of steel, who's just ready to crack. But the difference that I see Saeed Nurmagomedov taking advantage of is he's kind of more flowy, right? Everything he's throwing, he's mixing it together. He's throwing his kicks and his punches together, spinning back fist, come back, spinning back kick, get out of my way. You're too tight, you're too uptent. When you're too tight and you're too tense, AJ, you can see your moves coming. You know what I mean? It's not the same as when you're a Roy Jones, who you're just relaxing. Next thing, that left hook comes out of nowhere, So I think that Nurmagomedov could have a field day here, Or, AJ, this could be kind of like the Raoni Barcelos fight where it was just very back and forth. And Barcelos gave Nurmagomedov more than he could really chew on at that stage of his career. Clearly, that was his second fight in the UFC. So it's something to think about. But I do like Said Nurmagomedov kind of everywhere the fight takes place, beside if Andrade just takes his back and holds him down for a round. Now, let's talk props, AJ. What stands out the most to you? Let's talk about Andrade's props first. They're giving him no shot, man. Plus 500 TKO, plus 450 submission, or plus 450 decision, plus 1,000 for submission. He just come off of a major submission win with major props that people hit on right there. So you have to take that into consideration. But which one, if you had to choose Andrade, which one would you take?
Ooh, if I had to choose on Andrade, man, I'd probably take. Yeah, I mean that submission. It sounds so good, but I'd probably take the money line just because Nurmagomedov is so well rounded. I don't really see. I could see a knockout. I don't really see a knockout happening, but it could happen. I also same thing with submission. You get caught like in his last fight against Andrade's last fight, where I forget the opponent right now. I don't have it up, but
Sergey Morozov.
Who was it? Morozov against Morozov. Morozov had him hurt. It comes round 2 where Andrade he ends up hurting Morozov and then gets the back and then gets a submission. And I think that's if we're gonna see a submission, I think it's gonna be the same kind of thing where the tense nature you're not really seeing it. And boom, big power shot happens. He gets your back. He's, puts a body triangle on you. Next thing you know, you're tapping out or taking a little nap. Man, I'd probably still take that money line because I just don't see it happening against Nurmagomedov just to be safe and hedge that bet a little. It's still plus 220, and he can get it done in a multitude of ways. Which one do you think is the best, Derek?
Well, I like the submission.
Which stands out to you? Excuse me.
I like the submission prop at plus 1,000 because Said Nurmagomedov does a lot of spinning attacks. And in his last fight against, who was it? I think it was Raoni Barcelos, actually. So this was a couple fights ago. He threw a spinning back kick and missed on the back kick. So then Barcelos just took his back and just held him down for the rest of the round. And I was like, well, that's not what you want. You make that mistake against Andrade, I think he could do the same thing. So maybe submission, but I can also see that submission prop at plus 450 if he gets that type of control. That is a big if. Realistically, I like Said Nurmagomedov, man. I think we could see a TKO here, man. I honestly do. I think Andrade, he's only been finished one time via KO in his career, so it's going to be easier said than done. And you saw the resilience in the Morozov fight. So I think the decision prop is probably the best bet. But you can go across the board with Nurmagomedov. That's the scary part. That's why it's hard to bet on this dude because he could knock you out, he could submit you, or he could just outpoint you. Now, he's coming off of back-to-back finishes, right? First round guillotine against Cody Stamann, which is just ridiculous, right? That's very fantastic. And then the knockout of Mark Striegel, which was just nasty because he came in, right? I think he came in off a shot. He got countered and got his face punched into the mat for like 10 shots uncontested. So 3 finished victories, man. 2 TKOs and 1 submission in his last 5, brother. I don't know, man. What are you taking, bro? What are you taking for this Said Nurmagomedov?
I'm going to take the TKO. I can see a submission for the exact same way we got a submission on Cody Stamann. He gets him hurt, shoots in, leaves his neck available, chokes you out, guillotine. But I don't know if Silva de Andrade is going to rush in for a takedown. I feel like if he's going to rush in, he's going to rush in with the hands blitzing out, trying to knock your head off. And that's going to lead to the TKO win for Nurmagomedov. That's what I'm taking. Nurmagomedov, TKO. I'm going to say round, what's the over under? 2, 1.5?
2.5.
2.5. Okay. I'm going to go the under, man. I'm going to go early round 2.
Okay. Oh, man. I can't do the same thing that I did last week and just go decisions all across the board as much as I want to, man. So I'm going submission, man. I'll take the submission prop. I will take the submission prop here on Said Nurmagomedov against Douglas Silva de Andrade. I will take the under here because the under, so 2.5 rounds, the under is minus 130. The over is plus 100, brother. So the odds makers think that this one's ending in a finish. So I will rock with Nurmagomedov here, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough ask, but if he could pull it off, man, that'll be impressive. So that's Said Nurmagomedov for the win, minus 260 money line, or you can dig in on that TKO or submission prop, plus 285 for TKO, plus 325 for the submission.